Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't done this in a while, but I decided that since the last time I did a free-to-play tier list, Feixiao wasn't even out, I decided now might be a good time to update it. I mean, nowadays we're in the AoE meta, we probably have the summon meta coming back, whereas back in the day we had the break meta. So, in those couple of months, a lot has changed. We've had HP inflation, which has caused some characters to fall down, so, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of changes. Now, what I want to make strictly clear right now is, since Star Rail's HP inflation has gotten to a point where if you don't play a character in their premium team, I am probably going to consider these guys in their premium team. I'm not going to take away from them if they need a full 5-star team, because that's just the direction the game is going in now if you want to pull the E0S0 units. I'm only looking at every unit at E0S0. I'm not considering any Eidolons, any signature weapons whatsoever. It is strictly E0S0. Possibly best case scenario, unless their supports are incredibly niche, then maybe that will bring them down a bit. And then if they can run free-to-play friendly teams, that will bring them up a bit, but if they can't, it won't bring them down too much. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense, and if it doesn't, then hopefully it will with time. Now, since there's quite a few units nowadays, I do want to kind of go a bit quicker this time. First of all, Yanqing, he was in the F tier last time, he's going back in the F tier. Nothing is going to change there. And then when it comes to Himiko's an interesting case because she is very, very good in Pure Fiction. The problem is that in some of the other game modes, unless she's on a Super Break build, then she can struggle a little bit. A crit Himiko isn't always the best in the other game modes. And if you want to run Super Break, we literally have free Super Break DPS, so there's basically no reason to play her. Even Linkshot, I'd probably take over her as a damage dealer in a break team. But because of how good she is in Pure Fiction, I will still put her in the B tier. Clara is interesting because she is basically a worse version of Yunli. The thing is, she's still pretty decent. Like, if you don't have any physical weakness, she can be decent to build. But I don't feel like her ceiling is that high. But if you build her properly, then she has a pretty high floor. So I'm going to put her in the C tier right now. And next up, we have Zila. And I feel bad about this because Zila does have some potential. The problem is that nowadays character HP pools are so high that unless you just have an amazing, incredible Zila, you won't be one-shotting stuff, so you won't be triggering Resurgence, and if you're not triggering Resurgence, then Zila is properly in the mud. So unfortunately, Zila is going to have to go in the D tier. Now, one thing I will say is Yanqing is going to be the only character in the F tier. I don't think there's any other F tier characters other than Yanqing. And next up, we have Jing Yuan, who is our first riser in the tier list. Last time he was in the D tier, but nowadays we're in a more Pure Fiction-centric meta. So yeah, I mean, definitely in the AoE meta nowadays. And it's not just in Pure Fiction, it's also in Memory of Chaos and Apex Shadow, which I don't really like how they're designing endgame at the moment. It's probably the reason why I'm doing a tier list video right now, because I can't clear the current Pure Fiction or the current Apex Shadow. So instead I'm having to make discussion videos, and although I do want to do a video about HP inflation, I want to touch on that when Memory of Chaos comes out, because I want to go through all 3 game modes instead of just making one now and then one later on, because I don't want to make too many complaining videos. So I am just going to wait for that, and instead I'm just going to be filling the gap with tier lists. So with that all out the way, Jing Yuan, first of all, we're in a more AoE centric meta. Second of all, he got Sunday. Sunday plus Robin is insane for Jing Yuan right now, although I do feel like he is going to get replaced by future summon units. Currently, with the meta that we are in, he's actually doing pretty well for himself. I'm actually going to put him up in the A tier. He's probably like he could very easily fall down to the B tier, but I feel like for now he can go in the A tier. One thing I should also note is that this is a current meta tier list. This isn't how strong the characters are. And this is actually important to think about, because just how strong a character is doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be meta. For example, hunt characters, even if they're very strong and maybe later on down the line they'll rise in rank, maybe nothing has to change. Maybe they don't have to get any new support. It's just the format of endgame will change. So I feel like this is one thing we've learned about Star Wars Endgame, is they will change the format to push whatever new units they need. So that's why this isn't a strength tier list. This is a current meta tier list, which can go out of date in a couple of months, which is why I'm probably going to try to do more regular updates on this. So yeah, keep that in mind. But for the time being, I will have Jing Yuan in the A tier, and this time Blade. Last time I had Blade in the C tier. Blade, oh god, HP inflation and Pure Fiction and Memory of Chaos means that it's very hard to use a crit Blade unless you have a lot of vertical investment in it. I tried running a Blade Sunday, and then I tried both Ronmei and Robin, and then a Luocha, and it was just not getting the job done in Memory of Chaos. And the HP pools in Memory of Chaos are only going to keep going up and up, so it's not looking too good for Blade right now. Also in Apex Shadow, unironically, Blade's best team is a Super 8 team with Ruan Mei, Fugue, and a Linksha. If you have Fugue, then it's good. If you only have the Super 8 team of Ruan Mei, Harmony Trailblazer, and Gallagher, then it's not going to be as good. Maybe you should go for his crit variant instead. What I will say is, obviously, Blade is the one character where if he gets a support, he can easily rise up. For example, I know Tribi is a Harmony unit coming up, and I don't know what better... I mean, Maide is probably going to be a HP character without talking about leaks. This is just going off, common sense. With how many HP scaling Lycons we've gotten, and the fact that we haven't gotten one in a while, Maide will probably have something to do with HP, and we just got to summon support, we just got to attack support, Ruan Mei is a break support. I feel like Tribi will either be a... she will help, she won't necessarily be a HP support, but she will help the characters who don't scale off attack. So she could make Blade go up. Of course, if you guys want to talk about leaks, you can, but the thing is, this is currently beta, so stuff can still change. So I don't want to consider Tribi right now. I feel like the more support we get for Blade, there is potential for him to go higher, but there's also potential for him to just get completely abandoned. So unfortunately, I have to put my favorite character in the D tier, which sucks for me, but I just have to do it. Now, next up, we've got Kafka. And there's a difference between rating Kafka as a DPS and as a unit, because if you're rating Kafka as a unit, you can consider her in a Acheron team, which is still pretty damn strong in Pure Fiction, and also can get the job done in certain Apex Shadow and Memory of Chaos. But if we're talking Kafka strictly as a DPS in Dot, E0S0 Dot team with Black Swan, Robin, and Huohuo, I feel like she's probably, again, in between a B and a C tier. If there's a lot of Dot buffs, probably B tier, but most of the time, probably a C tier. Once a Dot support comes out, it'll be minimum B tier, maybe even A tier, depending on how strong the support is. And if they get a sustain, it can keep going up. I feel like Kafka is one unit they will not abandon. I feel like there are 2 units they will not abandon. One of those is Kafka, and the other one is Acheron, just because they are such faces of Honkai Star Rail. And, I mean, Acheron's just a face of the Hoyoverse games in general, considering all her Raiden variants. So I feel like these 2 are units which won't get abandoned. So even if they're lower down right now, I feel like they can still go up. Next up, we do have Dill. Dill of the big 3 destruction units we first got when they first came out. He has the highest damage ceiling, and that helps him out a fair bit. In the past, he was really reliant on Sparkle, but I actually think Sunday might be a better support for Dill than Sparkle. Even at E0S0 the entire team, I ran it in Apex Shadow, and I actually felt really, really good to run in Apex Shadow, weirdly. So I am actually going to put Dill in the C tier right now. Like I said, if you have either Sparkle or Sunday, pair it with like a Robin, or maybe even Tribi, because Robin can have some SP issues if you're not running her with follow-up units. So maybe even Tribi will be better. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to consider it too much, so I will just put Dill in the C tier right now. And like I said, I might not be 100% right. I can change my mind, and also this will change. Maybe in like 1 or 2 versions, this tier list can change. Not even including new unit additions, just considering, how much the meta can change. Now, next up, we have Jing Liu. Jing Liu doesn't have as high of a damage ceiling as Dill, so she can actually struggle depending on buffs. For example, if there's like an insane Apex Shadow buff, then Dill will take advantage of it. In the past, they would used to buff ice damage for Jing Liu, but now that Herta's out, I feel like they really want to push Herta, which is why we see the 8% crit damage if you have 2 air addition units. They could have just done a massive ice buff, which would have buffed both the Herta and Jing Liu, but they purposefully chose not to, which is why I feel like Jing Liu has fallen out of their favor in favor of the Herta. And I feel like the Herta is another character which they're really focusing on right now, because Herta is another face of Star Rail, even more than Aglaya. Even though she is our first Remembrance character, I feel like she might end up getting abandoned. I don't think Herta will, I don't think Acheron will, I don't think Kafka will. So yeah, Jing Liu, I feel like she could go in the C tier, but I might just have to put her in the D tier just to make it a bit more balanced. And next up we have Argenti. Now, one fun fact I should say is, in my past tier list, this was back in version 2.3 or 4, one of those, and I had Argenti, Jing Yuan, and Jade in the D tier. And oh, how things have changed with the Air Edition meta. And you might say, oh, you're so dumb, why would you put them in the D tier? At the time, they were D tier characters. Like, because we're looking at all 3 endgame modes, so we're not looking at just one endgame mode, we're looking at all 3, how good characters are at all 3. I probably should have specified that earlier. And Argenti, he is still a Pure Fiction specialist. The difference is that nowadays he is better in Memory of Chaos and Apex Shadow than he used to be, just because of how AoE centric they are. Which is why I would put Argenti up from the D tier, where he used to belong, definitely. I don't think, you know, no matter what Argenti mains will say, I think in the past he definitely was a D tier unit. Nowadays, I'd say he's probably a B tier unit. You know, although his teams aren't exactly the strongest, and neither is he the strongest unit. And I don't see what support they would add, unless, you know, they make a support where if you target all 5 enemies, then you deal more damage, which I think would be an insane support, although knowing Hoyoverse, maybe they'll do it. So, yeah, Argenti probably in the B tier for me right now. And next up we have Dr. Ratio. Dr. Ratio, last time I had, okay, in the past I had S and then A tier, I didn't have the SS tier, but nowadays I feel like, because there's so many DPS characters, I kind of need to space them out a bit more, which is why I've added in an extra tier. He was in the second highest tier. And now, even nowadays, he wouldn't make it in the A tier. He doesn't even make it in the B tier. I think Dr. Ratio right now is a C tier character. The problem is his premium team, if they're all E0S0, doesn't even feel that good to play because you won't always have 100% uptime on the debuff, so you're not even always guaranteed his follow-up. If you have like an S1 Topaz, then he might go up to the B tier, but once again, so much AoE centric. Dr. Ratio is one of the most single target characters in the entire game. I feel like he is currently a C tier unit, unfortunately, and I love Dr. Ratio. I feel like he was so underrated back when I first made the tier list, and then he just fell off so quickly because of how, you know, first of all, Apex Shadow isn't just a single target game mode, which is supposed to be Hung character specialty. No, it's a break game mode. It's very break centric, and although Dr. Ratio can do good break damage, a lot of his damage also comes before then, and it can be quite hard to switch up the target you're targeting when you have like this ult on stuff. You just have to do a lot of mind-boggling stuff, so I feel like Dr. Ratio currently is a C tier unit, even in his most premium possible team, the IPC team possible. And next up we have Acheron, and some people will disagree with me here, but I actually think Acheron is still SS tier. Here's the thing, Acheron works in pure fiction. You can play her Jiaocho Black Swan, you can play her Jiaocho Pela, you can play her Sunday Jiaocho, you can play her Jiaocho Robin. In case you haven't realized, pull Jiaocho for Acheron. If you don't have Jiaocho, she's S tier, maybe even A tier sometimes, but probably S tier. But with Jiaocho, I think she's still an SS tier character, and also her ult is AoE. It will deal AoE damage, which is massive for the current meta we are in. Acheron is always good for basically at least one half of every endgame mode. If you have Jiaocho, she's insane, and then your second slot can be a Black Swan, it can be a Pela, it can be a Black Swan, Pela, or Sunday, or Robin, even if you're not using her on the other half. And then Sustain, Aventurine's probably my favorite, but you can use any of Sustain. Also, you can run Fugue as the second debuffer, and then apply her Break Effect buff on, for example, like if you have a Link Shot, and then you'll be dealing okay Super 8 damage on 2 of your units. Link Shot will also be applying debuffs. I still think Acheron is maybe even the most versatile DPS in the game. Actually, maybe that goes to the Herta, but we'll be talking about her later on. Yeah, I feel like she is one of the most versatile DPS in the game, one of the strongest. She still fits in the AoE meta because of her ult being AoE, so I still think she is an SS tier character, even at E0S0. Some people say she's like on Reliant. You can say that about a lot of DPS. I still think Acheron is one of the strongest. I wouldn't say she's the #1 DPS in the game right now, but she is minimum top 3, and there will be 3 SS tier characters for me, which means one of the big ones will have to miss out, but we'll get to that later. Next up, Bootle. Now, I was close to putting Bootle to C tier, even though Bootle is actually my favorite DPS to play. For me, Bootle is the funnest character in the game, but then that's, I've been struggling because I only have the very, very free-to-play Super Break team of Ruan Mei, Harmony Trailblazer, and Galaga. So I'm actually going to put him in the B tier, because if you have the Fugue Link Shot variant, it definitely goes to the B tier. I mean, I think you don't even need to run a full 5-star team for him. You can run 3 5-stars. You need Ruan Mei, but then, I mean, you could technically replace Ruan Mei with Harmony Trailblazer, but then if you want to run Remembrance Trailblazer, then you're going to struggle. So I'm thinking if you run either Ruan Mei, Fugue, Gallagher, or if you run Ruan Mei, Harmony Trailblazer, Linkshaw, then he is still a beta character. The problem for him now is, as I've kind of alluded to, very AoE centric in the game right now, although he will still get the job done in Memory of Chaos and Apex Shadow if there are summons and if there's physical weakness. But if there's an AoE requirement, he might struggle a bit, which is why he's not A tier, which is where I would like to place him. I would normally have Bootle at the A tier. If this wasn't an AoE meta, he's minimum A tier. Full premium team, maybe even S tier, possibly S tier, possibly A tier. In the AoE meta, B tier, but I do still think Bootle will go up once, you know, the two most recent characters, I keep saying this, the two most recent characters are Rappa and Herta, who are two AoE units, which is why they're pushing so much AoE right now. Once they start releasing more destruction and hunt characters, Bootle will go back up, but currently he is in the B tier, but stay tuned for future tier list, he will probably go up. And next up we have Firefly. And this is very, very interesting because for Firefly, I don't actually think you consider her as a unit, you consider her team. Firefly is a DPS, strictly as a DPS, I think is S tier. But Firefly, for what she brings to the team, is an SS tier character better than Acheron. Because if you think about it, the biggest thing is she will break a lot of weaknesses, even if they're not fire weak, and if they're not fire weak, then she will implant fire weakness on her. And why is that huge? Because if you run Gallagher or Linkshot, they can deal more damage. If you run Fugue, she can deal more damage. If you have the full premium team of... Actually, you don't even need Linkshot. If you have Gallagher, Ron May, Fugue, it's insane. And if you have Gallagher... Sorry, not Gallagher. If you have Linkshot, Fugue, Ron May, I literally, today, on the final day of the banner, I put a Linkshot just because I think she's top 2 sustainers in the game in terms of quality of life and sustainability. But she's also the most offensive character, especially in Super 8 team. The Firefly, Linkshot, Fugue, Ron May team is busted. It is either the strongest or the second strongest thing in the entire game, which is why I think Firefly is an SS tier character. You can say, you know, she's carried by her team. It's slightly true, but that doesn't take away from her. I would put Firefly in the SS tier, even above Acheron. I do feel like she is slightly better than Acheron, even though Acheron is more versatile in the endgame modes. You can still run Firefly in Pure Fiction just as an enabler for Linkshot, because Linkshot can deal absurd damage in Pure Fiction, although you'd probably just go for a Linkshot Harmony Trailblazer with, or maybe a Himiko instead of Harmony Trailblazer and then Ron May Fugue. So yeah. And that's why, to me, Firefly is an SS tier character. Some people are saying Firefly might have to go down, but no, I feel like her team is so strong that she goes in the SS tier, and as well how much she enables and brings to that team. Jade is interesting. Jade is a character which I previously had in the D tier, and again, the reason why I used to put erudition characters in the D tier is because Herta and Himiko was so strong in Pure Fiction, and then you could run like a Yunli or a Acheron on the second half, and they would deal very good. So you never actually needed erudition units unless you had bad elemental coverage. Nowadays, with how AoE centric it is, they are very good, and also she is currently one of the best supports for the Herta, which is why I would nowadays actually put Jade up in the A tier. I do feel like as soon as we get a better erudition character for the Herta, which we probably will, she might go down to the B tier, but just with, you know, if you need Quantum in this game, you're probably going to go for Jade instead of Zila. So yeah, Jade currently A tier character. Jade mains were on my butt last time when I put her in the D tier. I still think that was the right call, but nowadays I feel like she definitely belongs in the A tier. So hopefully Jade mains, you guys are happy, because I know a lot of Jade mains have always had beef with me. Or have tried converting me, and I wouldn't say I'm converted, but I think I am a realist in saying Jade definitely belongs in the A tier. She has finally gotten her place in meta with AoE centricity, and I'm glad. I am happy for Jade. I am happy for Jade mains. You guys finally have your time in the sunlight. And next up we have Yunli, and Yunli is such an interesting character. I feel like physical weakness is not necessarily a must, but quite important to her. She's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none, because she's very decent in Memory of Chaos, Pure Fiction, and Apex Shadow, but she isn't the best character you can run for Apex Shadow, Memory of Chaos, or Pure Fiction. She's okay in the current AoE meta, but she's not the best. She's just such a... She's literally like master of... the only master she is of is she's the master of counterattacks, but even that's pretty niche. In the past, I would have had her in the second highest tier. She also depends a lot on being hit, so I feel like she fluctuates so much with the enemies in the current rotation. She goes anywhere between an A and a B tier character, but I'm feeling generous to Yunli, so I'm just going to put her in the A tier. Maybe she doesn't necessarily belong there. You know, sometimes she will feel like a B tier character, other times she will feel like an A tier character. I'm just going to put her in the A tier for now, and yeah. Anyway, next on we have Feixiao. And Feixiao wasn't on my last tier list because I made it just before she had released, unfortunately. And at the time, even after the tier list, I would have put her in the highest tier, possibly the strongest DPS in the game. But I feel like we are in such an AoE focused meta right now. And also remember, this is E0S0, and with damage inflation, you know, Feixiao really depends on getting her damage out. And sometimes she just can't with how high HP pools are right now. And although she can get the job done, I feel like she's not the best character for the job. And like I said, we are ranking characters by how strong they are in the current meta rather than how strong they are as a character. Feixiao as a character is SS tier, and then either one of these two go down. I feel like she's stronger than both of these two as a character, but her current place in the meta, I think it's an S tier. Of course, Feixiao is still very good. If you have a Feixiao, be very happy. You can still pull a Feixiao and she'll be very good. This shouldn't dissuade you from pulling Feixiao. I mean, literally, look how high this placement is. Pull any of these characters and you'll be very fine. It's just, I don't think she's as strong as the other two. I'm not doom posting Feixiao right now. I feel like as soon as the AoE meta is over, remember, AoE meta is not permanent. This will change. She will go back up here. But for the time being, S tier. 2 or 3 months down the line, could go back up here. But currently speaking, S tier rather than SS tier. And next up we have Rappa. And Rappa is, again, very interesting. I don't know whether I want to put her in the highest tier or in the tier below. I am actually a believer in the current meta as a unit. She is stronger than Firefly, but I don't know if her team is stronger than Firefly's. And that's the problem right now. And I don't know whether I want 4 characters in SSS tier. That's the problem I'm having right now. I'm really, really not sure. I feel like it's such a toss-up right now between these two. Honestly, don't know. I could just take the easy way out, put both of these guys up here, and then maybe move an Acheron down, but I do feel like Acheron is deserving of her SS tier placement. These two are just very functionally similar right now. In the current meta, like I said, current meta, Rappa's slightly stronger as a unit. Firefly's team overall is slightly stronger, but which one's better in the current meta? It's very tough to say. I feel like Rappa will be better in Pure Fiction, Firefly will be better in Apex Shadow, and I feel like, just, you know, because of Firefly's Fire Implant, I feel like you can brute force more content with her, so I'm actually going to put Firefly above Rappa. I want Rappa mains, let this be known, I prefer Rappa to Firefly. I actually don't... I'm not gonna say that. If you want to know my opinions on how much I like all the units as characters, or when it comes to playing them, I've made a video on that in the past, and my opinions have not changed. But my opinions have changed on the meta. I feel like for the time being, I'm gonna put Rappa at S tier, and I feel like Rappa's gonna stay in the S tier. Whereas characters like these can go up and down, I feel like Rappa will be a character who will just stay in the S tier for a very long time, especially if you have a full premium team. It will be very strong. I feel like she stays at the S tier, and the reason why, you know, like I said, she'll be SS tier character if it wasn't for the Herta. The Herta right now, I mean, all the endgame modes are made for her, which is why she feels like the strongest character in the game. But I mean, she's the answer to every game mode right now. And she will be for a while. She has very good damage to one target, whilst also dealing very good damage in AoE, which is why she is an exception in the Erudition class. And also that's why I put Jade in the A tier. Like I said, it's because she can support Herta so well. Her buffer is normally Remembrance MC. And also, this is one thing, like I said, I'm not going to take away from units if they don't have the most free-to-play friendly teams, but I will give them bonus points if they do. Remembrance MC right now feels like her best support. And then for her second in slot, you know, Saval on Passkey is very good for free-to-plays. Herta in Ice Week content, especially Pure Fiction, is very good as a second teammate. And then Jade in any other stuff where you just want to give the best possible buff to Herta is very good. And they might even be releasing another character to synergize with her, because I don't feel like they're going to make 2 of her best supports 4 stars. So that's, and then, you know, with some 5 stars in there. So I feel like she will be getting even more buffs. I feel like Herta is here to stay. And I mean, once again, Herta is just another face of HSR. That's why they gave her a second variant. So she is definitely here to stay. Herta, SS tier character, best character in the game in the current meta. Strongest character in the game? I don't know. Most meta character in the game? Definitely. And once again, we have come to a problem similar to Feixiao, where I have made this just before the new DPS is coming out. Aglaya, I know she's going to have a very high damage ceiling. She's going to have a very strong best in slot team with, what's his name, Sunday, and then either Robin or Remembrance MC, and then whatever sustainer you want to put in there. I don't feel like she's going to be as consistent as the top 3 right now, and I also feel like there's probably going to be a Remembrance character which will power creeper. Think about what happened to Bootle with Firefly. Think about what happened with Zila with all the destruction characters we got later. I will still put Aglaya in the S tier. This is a prediction. This isn't where my placement of her. I predict her to be an S tier character although I'm not going to keep her on my list. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down below. What would you change? Like I said, this is for the current meta, E0S0. I will update this after we get a couple of changes. I might do a support version at some point. I'm not sure when exactly. You can expect me to talk about HP inflation once Memory of Kids comes out, because it's been on my mind for such a long time. But like I said, I don't want to make complaining content. I really enjoy playing Star Rail. I just don't enjoy the direction they're going in right now. But like I said, I don't want to just make a video seeming like I'm complaining about not being able to clear endgame, which is why I'm waiting until Memory of Chaos. So that will come out later. In the meantime, let me know what you think about the tier list. You can send a whole tier list of your own, or you can just let me know why you disagree. You know, we can have a civil discussion. Civil discussion is always fun. But, you know, if you're not going to be civil, then don't bother leaving a comment. Yeah, where would you place these guys? What do you disagree with? Where do you predict a Goliath to go? Where do you think units will go up and down? Like I said, I'm a firm believer of we are currently in the erudition meta, but once we stop focusing on erudition, we will see characters like Feixiao rise and Butel rise as well, stuff like that. Hunt characters will have their time in the sun soon, which is why I don't feel like we should be doom posting. I'm not trying to doom post here. I'm just giving a point of view on the current meta. I feel like it's healthy for the game to swap the meta around just so that we're not always playing the same stuff. But I also feel like they've taken it too far. They're catering too much to it, which is why it's slightly frustrating. So yeah, those are my personal thoughts. Let me know what you think down below. Like I said, keep it civil. With that being said, hope you guys enjoyed, and see ya.